All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking a really big one: why some of us are just so deeply, profoundly affected by what other people think. If you've ever felt that way, you're going to want to stick around. This is going to offer some really powerful insights.
I mean, does this sound familiar? A random comment from a coworker, a certain look from a friend, or, just the idea of what people might be thinking, and suddenly you're in a total spiral of overthinking and anxiety. And here's the very first thing you need to know, and it's so important. If you feel this way, it is not a sign of weakness. Actually, it's a sign that your personality, your upbringing, and your entire nervous system are wired to be highly, highly receptive to social information. So, what's really going on under the hood? To get it, we've got to look at the hardware first. We're talking about the natural wiring of your brain and your personality that kind of sets you up for this.
So, who tends to feel this the most? Well, it's often people who identify as empaths, highly sensitive people, or HSPs, and folks with really high emotional intelligence. And listen, these aren't just trendy labels. They actually describe people whose nervous systems are literally more attuned to the subtle cues all around them. So, why does this happen? Well, if this is you, it's because your brain is basically like a super sophisticated radar. It's constantly automatically scanning for these tiny social cues. A slight change in someone's face, a little shift in their tone of voice, the emotional energy in a room. And honestly, it's a genuine superpower for understanding people.
But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. That incredible strength for connection and understanding, when it doesn't have any boundaries, it can very quickly become a vulnerability. It just leaves you feeling emotionally swamped and totally exhausted. Another piece of this hardware puzzle is being highly conscientious. We're talking about people who care so much about doing the right thing, they feel this really strong sense of responsibility. And this can actually lead them to mistake someone else's simple opinion for a duty they now have to go and fulfill. And finally, let's talk about the power of imagination. A mind that can create future scenarios and detect patterns is brilliant, right? But when that amazing imagination is left unchecked, it can fuel so much anxiety. It creates these endless loops of, what if they think this? Or what if this one comment just ruins everything? See, the problem isn't the imagination itself. It's when it's just allowed to run wild. Okay, but it's not just about the hardware you're born with. Now we have to look at the software, the programming we get from our environment and all our experiences that runs on top of that hardware. If you grew up in a family or a culture that put a huge emphasis on what other people think, then this phrase, log kya kahenge, which basically means what will people say, it might sound really familiar. Phrases just like that, or be a good girl, or don't disappoint us, they're really powerful conditioning tools. They teach our young brains a very simple and very dangerous equation. So here's how that process works. You hear these phrases over and over and over, and your brain learns that safety, belonging, well, that equals getting approval from other people. And the result? As an adult, just the threat of disapproval can trigger this automatic, deep-seated gut punch of anxiety and guilt. This isn't a flaw in your personality. It's just conditioning. Our past experiences also play a massive role here. If you've ever gone through something like public shaming or emotional neglect or a really sudden rejection, your nervous system can go on high alert. Its main job becomes preventing that pain from ever happening again, which can make even totally neutral opinions feel like dangerous threats. And here is a super important distinction. We're talking about low internal validation, which is totally different from low confidence. You can be incredibly skilled, you can be brilliant, but if you've been trained to always look outside of yourself for validation, then other people will always be the ones holding the scorecard. They become the judges of your worth. So, you've got the hardware and the software all working together. What on earth do you do with this information? Well, this is where we get to the really good part, the powerful reframe that turns all of this insight into a genuine strength. This is the life-changing part, right here. Instead of seeing this trait as a weakness, what if you reframed it? What if being deeply affected by others' thoughts simply means you're perceptive? It means you care. It means you have depth. I mean, these are incredible qualities to have. This gives us such a clear path forward. The goal isn't to become cold or to just stop caring. No way! That would mean suppressing your core strengths. The real solution is calibration. It's learning how to adjust the dial on how much you actually let in. And here is the most practical way to think about it. It's almost like a one-sentence fix. Keep your empathy, that's your superpower, but reduce the permission you give other people's thoughts to control your feelings and your actions. You can hear an opinion without making it your duty.
See, at the end of the day, you have the power to decide whose thoughts get a vote and whose just get a voice. And that leaves us with one final really empowering question. What permission that you've been giving away so freely will you stop giving starting today?